Hello, my name is Brother Sean, and from the outfit I'm wearing, I'm not going to a fancy dress party, although that is a tempting proposition. I'm an enclosed lay monastic Franciscan monk. And the purpose of doing this short video is really following a heart response. Only 5 minutes ago I got an impromptu reminder about hitting rock bottom. And I would like to share with you, not for you to feel sorry for me, but to share with you my story, hoping that it will help you if you've hit rock bottom. Yes, a number of years ago, 1996 in fact, when a dear friend who was like a blood brother, we were monks together, who died of cancer, age 42. And it was a really traumatic time because we were best mates, really, really close. And I remember then coming to support my dear friend who was a monk in a monastery in Manchester, and I lived in North Wales, and I was a senior nurse on night duty in palliative care. And when I got the word from the community that Eddie had taken a turn for the worst, I'd missed his death by 10 minutes. And I was really, really saddened, selfishly of course, but I was able to prepare him for burial. And I'd never ever seen my friend naked in the 28 years we'd been friends, both as monks, as nurses in training, and throughout our spiritual journey. And it was a real honour, it was a privilege to perform this last rite of our friendship, to prepare him for his burial. But 3 months later, not coping very well with the death and dying of my dear friend, me, the senior nurse, couldn't cope. So my GP advised me to go on some medication that would help me, and that medication was the famous sunshine pill, Prozac. And I just said, is it safe? He said, yes, there's no adverse reactions to it. Well, at least nothing had been reported by Eli Lilly. So I took it, and 2 weeks later I was totally out of control with manic and disinhibited, disassociated behaviour. And that was the beginning of a 4-year journey of hitting rock bottom. And what a bottom I hit too. I lost friends, family, loved ones. And being somewhat egotistical, my ego was publicly crucified, literally. And it was a very painful black period. And I found it very difficult to go into a church because I would have a complete shutdown. I just couldn't go in. It's as if I was walking through a brick wall. And it was really scary because I was a daily communicant. But over those 4 years, I began a journey. And the journey was obviously initiated and led by God. And through some pretty horrendous times where there was suicidal ideation, but because of my manic behaviour, I really was a nightmare. And in my dark night of the soul, a light did shine, but it took 4 years. And slowly but surely, the God that I thought had abandoned me was actually there all the time. So like a newborn babe, I was being instructed how to crawl, then walk, a few steps at a time. And I'm here today. But I prayed, I remember, pleading with God. I think I swore at God, forgive me, that he would send me 3 named archangels, and he did, who took care of me, who empowered me to self-heal. And then of course in 1999, I had an amazing gift given to my heart from the angelic realm, the blueprint, the angel Bakwa, to self-heal, using colour, the colour of plants. The frequency and the energy really helped. and of course Archangel Metatron. And I shared this with you not for you to say, oh, poor you, but I share it with you because sometimes when we're not listening to God, and I was one of those, I was the world's rescuer, the real nursey, I'll help you. And I rescued too many people because I guess I was frightened and afraid of the real me. I never really liked me, even as a nursing monk. I was always putting myself down, never felt good enough. And as the eldest son of a large Catholic family, I never really sensed I belonged there. I always felt strange and odd. And it was all to do with what happened in childhood to me. And it resurfaced and I couldn't cope with it. So I would plough myself into setting up charities to support friends. I would do anything rather than face my fear. But through the breakdown and so many losses, the loss of health, the loss of job, home, a relationship, I actually had a breakthrough. And it's amazing how through a deep, negative, painful experience, where there were so many losses, that God could actually touch my life and allow me hear again and listen to my heart. And it's so tragic today when I meet so many beautiful people whom the Lord leads to us for support. because I don't go out and meet them because I'm enclosed. But they're guided to us. And some you can tell they're in denial. They don't want to know. They don't want to listen. So I have to let them go. Or as they say today in school, some of the teachers say, talk to the hand, the face ain't listening. Hello. But God loves every child of God because they've been created like you and me in the image and likeness of God. And God never gives up on his children ever. It is we who give up on God. Like I shared with you, in my deep, dark despair and dealing with mental illness, the shame of it, the stigma, I found it very hard. It was I who abandoned God, not the other way around. And I became aware of that beautiful poem, The Footprints in the Sand, and I'm sure you've read it, where we convinced ourselves, or we do convince ourselves, that when the going is really bad in our life, the footprints that we see in the sand, we convince ourselves they're ours. But Jesus said to me, they're not yours, they're mine. Because I carried you. Because I love you. So what I'm saying is, it's one of those things that when we shut down to our truth, when we close our heart to embracing our truth, when fear denies us the opportunity to self-heal inner core issues, then I believe that God allows a major breakdown to facilitate a breakthrough. And wow, what an experience. But there is hope. There is always hope. And if you surrender your heart to God and you trust in God, the right people come into your life who don't take from you, who don't use you and abuse you, who don't treat you as a doormat. You're empowered to take your power back. And you see yourself through the eyes of God, that you are a beautiful child, that you are loved. But it takes that breakdown for that breakthrough to happen, for you to have that epiphany moment. If you are feeling low and vulnerable, there is hope. And the hope can be initiated by you. I know people have said, well, why does God allow this? Why does he allow this to happen to me? Or why me? And my prayer is, Why not me? If I take the good days with the sunshine, must I not also take the days with the rain and the thunderstorms? And that's life. If everything was hunky-dory rosy in the garden, then we will become complacent, as so happens because we're human. But if you are in a place where you're stuck and you sense no hope, there is hope. And it begins with the first step, asking for help. And the reason why God doesn't enforce himself on us is because he gave you and I the gift of free will. And he waits for us to ask. And once we've asked, then we say thank you for listening and thank you for bringing the help into my life. And just keep saying thank you. And the abundance comes. The help comes. For me, it took time. But when I look back on my life, I can clearly see the hand of a loving God. And that God never gave up on me. My nurse colleagues gave up on me. The medical profession gave up on me. And I gave up on myself. And today I'm living a very different life. I'm not a born-again Christian. I'm just a simple man who lives a simple life, following the teachings of Francis, having dedicated my heart to the Christ as a monk in service for peace. And I, in a way, in a strange paradoxical way, I thank God for that experience, as painful as it was, because it was severing of so many layers, so many relationships. But what I have now is the 100-fold. I have been given the pearl of great price. I've been given a fresh start, a new chance. And I do see miracles from God each day in the lives of those who come to us. Because whatever I ask Jesus, I ask with a sincere heart. And I've seen him touch many lives here in our little monastery. People with no faith, no belief. They've come so wounded and tortured, mentally, physically, spiritually. And they've been released by his love. So never give up and never say no. For where there is day, there's night. Where there is light, there's dark. Where there is despair, there is hope. Thank you for listening. And if I can help in any way, email me. And I will willingly pray with you or pray for you. Namaste. God bless you.